Hello, my name is Diana Anoso, and I'm an environmental activist. And due to the passion that I have towards the environment, I would love to walk this journey together of coastal restoration programs, of coastal ecosystem restoration. So, just like I have said, I'm an environmental activist, and you can join me in this journey so that we talk about the coastal ecosystem restoration, particularly the coastal ecosystem. So just to start and take you through an overview of what environment restoration, what restoration entails, I can give you an example of the human body. You see, just like the way the heart of a man works, that is also the way the earth works. In which way? Like for example, the human body has a heart, and this heart functions for the good of the whole body. It pumps blood, and that's in the same way the earth has got also various ecosystems. Like for example, the landscape, oceans. It has the forest ecosystem, and also the rivers and lakes. And now, how does this body works? In this heart of the body, it has the right ventricle, left ventricle, the upper chamber, the lower chamber, and all these chambers, they work together in cooperation for the good of the entire body. And that is why these entire ecosystems of this earth work together. They have an interconnectivity, that they work together for the good of the earth. And who are the earth? Or what is found in the earth? Like the earth is life, and that is where now we come in, because we live in the earth. And so that is why we are going to walk this journey of coastal ecosystem restoration, because generally we are going to talk about the coastal environment and how we are going to restore, the importance of restoration, ways of restoring, why should we even restore it, who are the people who are engaged, who are supposed to be engaged in environmental restoration. So maybe just to define the whole thing of ecosystem restoration. Well, in the most simplest words, you can say that ecosystem restoration is a way of reversing a degraded environment, like an area that was once fertile and once productive, but then due to later encroachment by land, due to deforestation, due to calamity like wildfires, due to settlement and urbanization, that land became degraded and unproductive. And that's why now the aspect of restoration comes in. We want to bring life back to this land. We want to bring life back to this ecosystem again, whether it is a forest, whether it is a lake, whether it is a river. It is a form of reviving that ecosystem for the good of man, for the productivity, and to increase the needs so that they can sustain the needs of man. Therefore, stick on the land. The reason why restoration is so important, it is because it is the only key factor or key solution to climate change. As you all know that now climate change is hitting the nodes everywhere in the world, of how diverse it has affected people, their livelihood, and how we see it burning the tables in the televisions and everywhere. Now, restoration, when we restore, we reduce climate change, because climate change is brought by our various effects, such as degradation, the urban pollution, air pollution, name them all. Name all the effects name all the sources that can cause climate change. Therefore, just like we have said that restoration is the only key to to overcome climate change. And that is why there are several ways on which we can do our restoration. For example, remember we're still talking about coastal ecosystem restoration, but this is a general view of now how restoration works, whereby you can apply it to any kind of ecosystem. And for example, let me go particularly to a forest ecosystem or a mangrove ecosystem. There are various ways in which we can engage ourselves in restoration. For example, we can engage in restoration through planting or through agroforestry, through ecotourism, and all those ways, they help in restoring an ecosystem, a degraded ecosystem. Well, not forgetting who are these people who are supposed to be engaged or to be involved in this activity. Now, here people will say that it is the work of the government, it is the work of the environmental experts, but today I want to tell you that it is the responsibility of each and every one of us to take part in restoration. Why? Because we depend on this environmental for our basic needs. We depend on the environment for good air. We depend on the environment for a healthy ecosystem and environment surrounding us. The environment, trees, prevents us from erosion and the effects of strong wind and the flooding. That is why everyone should have that pinch of driving themselves towards environmental care. That is why we have the reuse principle, the recycle principle, and also I would love to add another principle that say you resist. And this is the resist principle for me. It is always the most interesting part because it says you resist any activities that is not environmental friendly. Any activity that involves putting pain in the environment, you should therefore resist, you should avoid. But rather, you should promote activities or ways that can recycle, that you can reuse, like for example, a land. You should have a proper planning for that land on how you do your agricultural practices, on how you do your construction activities. If at all you want to go civilized and urbanized, you should really consider environmental conservation. We are talking about environmental conservation because it has been given least priority worldwide, as you can say, but at this moment it has caught the eyes of everyone. As we can see now, there is this, what should we call it? There is the rule, not really the rule, but the principle of meeting 10% cover by the year 2020. Now the government of Kenya is working hard in order to ensure that Kenya meets a 10% cover of forest. You can imagine, it may be seen a little figure, but then it has magnificent effects on this environment. Therefore, you can be part of that initiative. You can plant a tree, you can adopt a site, as some other organizations have such programs. Like Big Ship has a program of adopt a site, whereby you come, you adopt a site, a degraded site, and you plant there the mangroves, and later on you do your monitoring activities on how that site is going. And by the end of the year 2-3, your area is fully restored. And also another thing that has made me realize that this issue of environmental care and climate change got people's attention. It is the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration by 2020. That is from 2021 to 2030. It has been announced as the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. That's why efforts are made, like every ecosystem should be restored, whether the mangroves, whether the wetlands, whether the ocean, whether the rivers and lakes, whether the landscape, they all should be restored in order to ensure that there is a form of ecosystem sustainability, so that we may not only meet the needs of our current needs, we may only meet the needs of our current situation, but also that we should not jeopardize the needs of the future generation, because remember, each and every one of us depends on this environment. So stay tuned, stay focused, let us share, let us send views, and we can continue like talking about the environment and creating awareness on the importance of environment. Because after all, you will need a place to stay, you will need water to drink, you will need one day, you will need timber, you will need clothes. All these, we obtain them from the environment. And if we keep on digging and extracting, increasing our footprints in the environment, the supply will be limited. The environment will one day collapse and say, I can't do this anymore. That is why, people have felt the impact, and they are now on the forefront fighting for environmental conservation, environmental care. And you can also be one of them. Thank you so much.